Okay. Here we are. I didn't realize that I did not add it to the stage,
Yeah.
our images. Anyway, thank you, our subscribers, thank you, our family members, for being here, for coming to join us in this live. This live will be a conversation, because you know what? It's been long since we had someone like Traore. Actually, maybe the last person
Maybe.
was Magufuli.
Yeah. In our
Yeah,
recent years, yeah.
in the recent past,
Yeah.
in 2020, about
Someone we've been fortunate to see.
yes,
Yeah.
the Magufuli himself, and we loved him. Although in Kenya, you don't even ever love Magufuli, because he stopped businesses, especially for Kenyans who are taking things to Tanzania. And it's now that the people of Tanzania can tell you that, there are things that they used to get from Kenya, but now it's Kenyans getting from Tanzania. That's how the effect is. So, before Magufuli, maybe we can go to the times of Sankara.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't understand how, even after, Africa, most countries got independence in the 60s, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, except for a country like South Africa, which came up to the 90s, and South Sudan, you know. But when we talk about our very, very, very own people who thought about us,
In the recent years.
not in the even since the Africa got independence, we cannot see anybody except Sankara, Lumumba, Silvano, the first president of Togo, Silvano something. I cannot remember his.
Gaddafi.
Yeah, Gaddafi was good, but I remember those times. It was like 2017 or so. No, 2007, sorry. And about then, we would only listen to propaganda. But it's different now because of the social media. That's how we are able to fight for Traore, we are able to fight for the AES, we are able to scream everywhere. Like right now, we are here to scream and say, this is our captain, leave him
Don't
alone.
touch Traore.
Don't hearts of our king.
Yeah.
We are not going to have another Gaddafi, because then we would only listen to their media. And the problem, and like Traore said when he was in Russia, is you see our media copies what their media does. So you see our local media reporting what they have reported.
It's actually very funny when you see the stories being, when they're writing their stories, they say, what do they say? Like copied from, not copied, I'm trying to look for the word, from BBC. And it's a whole Kenyan newspaper. Why can't you go on the ground and investigate some of these things yourself? They're even lazy. Oh, it's because they don't have the resources.
No,
Why?
it's being stupid, because if you're talking about Burkina Faso, why take from
BBC,
BBC,
CNN,
CNN, and all that? Why don't you take from RTB, Faso 7, Burkina 24? The local media. Why can't you even talk to the local people who are in the media? You don't have to pay your people to go stay there. Maybe you don't have that.
They trust BBC better than our own.
But we are now woke. We are not like then,
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's how it used to happen. In the times of Sankara, there were no these social media. But now, this is their own. It's like the way they say, if you want to kill a bear, use its own weight. It's like the same thing. We are killing the bear using its own weight.
Yeah. But how do you feel about this Traore era, and how we are able to at least vouch for him to say, do not touch him? When you compare to your Gaddafi's at a time where myself, let me speak for myself, I really thought Gaddafi was a bad guy. And realizing it now, I feel so bad, because I just remember my dad telling me the news that Gaddafi has been killed. And to me, it was like, hey, at least these Libyans will now live a good life. But you see how this propaganda has played out. It was very unfortunate that we couldn't even realize that this is a guy here to help us. This is a guy working for the betterment of Africa. What is it that you can pick up from those times? And right now, where Traore can be protected by his own African brothers and sisters. for me, it's just incredible to watch a space where you go onto TikTok, it's Traore, leave our Traore alone. US is threatened by the fact that Africans are supporting their own. Everybody, France cannot even, I don't even think Macron has a strategy right now. Just looking at things the way they are folding out, and I don't think he has a strategy.
I remember then,
Mhm.
we would only get snippets of information because one,
Yeah.
not many people like enough in Kenya also would be having TVs, televisions, especially even in the villages.
Yeah.
Then another thing is access to the newspaper. No. Radio, come on. Even the people in the radio are getting information
From BBC.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
And the problem is, I remember then, I think it's only Facebook that was very known. There was there was a social media called MySpace or Space or something. I don't remember the name properly. But there was not this social media thing. And this propaganda didn't only affect the people across the world. It affected even the local Libyans. The people whom they had seen Gaddafi. You know what they usually come and tell you? Yo, this guy has overstayed. We need democracy. This is not democracy. He is doing this. But you have been seeing him building roads and all that. But now you are tired because he stayed there for many years. That's what they do. But
Yeah.
only that, you are not gaining. They are not gaining from the country. Now who gets the benefits from Libya? Although it's still in turmoil, who gets that?
Yeah.
And by the way, I saw one of the leaders visiting Niger yesterday or the day before. Yes,
From Libya.
Yes.
Oh, and it's funny how I've been monitoring TikTok for the past few days. Anywhere that Traore is being posted and being celebrated, you will not fail to see a comment saying he's a dictator. The people of Burkina Faso deserve democracy. When you look at the profile of the person saying it, guess who it is?
It's an African.
No, it's those white people.
Ah.
It's so funny. And the way people are so awoke on the comment section on TikTok, it's so disappointing for these guys when they see us celebrating this guy. But I think we have also seen a comment from most of you guys saying we are maybe shining a spotlight on Traore more than we are on the rest of them. And it's all three of them who are doing quite a good job. Just today, I think I saw news from Pharma, the military in Mali. These guys have neutralized terrorists. There are some terrorists who are trying to cross some river, and most of them were neutralized. And it's good news to see that Mali is still continuing with the fight. Assimi Goita might be very silent. I don't know why he feels the need to be silent. It's his nature. Even Niger's Chiani is quite silent.
But if you look at the news, for example, I was just talking about General Saddam Haftar visiting Niamey.
Yeah.
Is the son of Libyan National Army Commander Khalifa Haftar. He went to Niamey and met the Interior Minister General Mohamed Toumba. Then today, in Niger, they showcased these very beautiful military vehicles made in Burkina. 100%. Not Burkina, sorry. Made in Niger, 100%. And they look amazing. 100% made in Niger. And before then, it was Traore who had, Burkina Faso Burkina Faso was showcasing military vehicles made in Burkina. These people, whenever you hear Burkina doing something, they do this all together.
Yeah.
Now, the people are saying that most people are showcasing Ibrahim Traore more than the others. Because
celebrating.
Because Traore. One thing, Traore will become more popular because Traore doesn't keep quiet.
Exactly.
And I think he had shown Abdurrahman Tian because Traore doesn't keep quiet. I think this is because Traore was saying that if there's a lesson that he learns from Thomas Sankara, he learns from Thomas. Like one thing is trusting your friend, and Thomas Sankara's friend is the one who went behind his back and killed him.
Yeah.
So there's that one. And I think another thing from Traore is ensuring that the people know what has been happening
Yeah.
and what is happening. That's why you see him, he keeps on talking. He tells the kids something new. You are not expecting a president to tell a kid, this is what they came and did. I mean,
Explains it in the best way that the
to
kids,
kids
yeah,
so
would
that they can
understand.
understand. Because if the kids don't know, if the young people don't know,
There's no
if the
future.
parents don't know,
Yeah.
once these people bring their propaganda, these people will believe. You say Traore is just whatever, whatever. But if you visit Burkina Faso and you meet old people, they will praise Traore the way we are praising Traore. You meet young people, you meet children, they will praise Traore the way we are praising. So it's not us, it's everybody. Because whatever he's doing is being seen on the ground. Yes.
And it's funny how this American General Langley, Michael Langley, claims that this guy is stealing minerals for his own protection, I don't know, for his own betterment. When you look at Traore, you realize that president is extravagant by the clothes they wear, the jewelry they wear, the kind of lifestyle they live. I've been following Traore's motorcade. When this guy visits Bobotulaso, recently he's in
Right now, he's
Bobotulaso.
in
Yeah.
Populaso up to today.
Yeah,
It was
and
21st to
he even
24th.
visited this military personnel who were hurt during, operations, terrorism, neutralization. And when you look at the way this guy travels around, moves around, I don't even think it's half of the cost that any other African president will spend just moving from one location to the next in their country.
Yeah.
And a guy who is very much dedicated to making sure that all the resources of his country benefit the people. And you come in as Michael Lang. I don't know if he came in from an uninformed kind of, point of view, or he came in as a propagandist, or what was behind this motive of Michael Langley saying this guy is spending Burkina Faso money.
These people
Gold.
usually it's usually a plan,
Yeah.
because you know, like for example, even during the Bush President Bush time, these guys were started reporting that Iraq was having weapons of mass destruction, and it's until some few years ago that they revealed there was nothing like that. The same thing they were saying for Gaddafi. They were saying that Gaddafi was killing his own people. And Gaddafi would come on TV and say, you know what? I'm not killing my own people. What is happening is the country has been infiltrated by terrorists, mostly I think Al Qaeda or something like that. And no matter how much he tried to, protect himself and even explain what was happening, these guys would just say that he was killing his own people and he had to intervene. But the only thing that Gaddafi did was he wanted to save Africa. And most of the things that you see today, for example, the African Continental Free Trade Area, it's this guy who started. Do you know he started an African central bank, which was supposed to be in Libya, Tripoli, but now they moved it, and it's just a name nowadays. There was African monetary system, there was African currency, they used to call it Africa or something. You see all those. Our money was supposed to be something that is pegged to our minerals. And he used to say this, something that is pegged to our minerals. And do you know the Libyan thing, dinar, it's called Libyan dinar, was so strong as the dollar by then. And this guy had oil which was benefiting his country. It's like what we can say mineral sovereignty. It's like what Traore is doing, and they are not happy about that. Now, today, we are going to talk about why they are not happy about this. But before then, let's see what Ibrahim Traore has written on his Twitter page or X page.
Guys, can you like the video? I think it's 15 of us currently, and the likes are not matching to the number of people. Please like the live so that more people can be notified.
So this is what he went to do in Bobojulaso, and he's saying, at the end of my stay from May 21st to 24, 2025 in Bobojulaso, I live certified with the actions we have carried out for the benefit of our valiant populations. The delivery of agro-pastoral equipment and inputs with a total value of more than 104 billion CFA aims to provide our brave producers with substantial means to achieve food self-sufficiency. The laying of the foundation stone of the cashew apple processing plant and the veterinary medicine manufacturing unit is also the materialization of our vision of a Burkina Faso moving towards true industrialization. At the same time, in Ouagadougou, the Brigade of Volunteers for the Defense of the Fatherland received a considerable logistical allocation worth more than 6 billion CFA. Dear compatriots, all these investments and acquisitions are the fruit of your civic commitment through your contributions to the Patriotic Support Fund and the payment of various taxes and duties. You know, most Africans are asking Ibrahim Traore, and if you can hear, Captain, people are asking you to open up the Patriotic Support Fund so that more people, more of our brothers and sisters within the African continent, the motherland, and also outside the motherland, in the diaspora, that is our brothers and sisters in the UK, the US, Brazil, Papua New Guinea, China, can support the country, because we need to start from where we are seeing someone who has love for his people. This he continues and I therefore congratulate all the sons and daughters of Burkina Faso as well as the diaspora for this patriotic surge and this determination to build together a new society, homeland or death. We will win. And you can see the pictures of the threshers, there were tractors, there were even drilling rigs. You see, a lot of things. And this, you see, this is for process. This whatever is laying a stone is for processing the cashew apple. That is the fruit. The cashew has the fruit and the nut. So most people process the nut, but they leave most throughout the apple. But the apple can make juices, it can make wine, very beautiful wine. I made some myself. Yeah.
That's value addition.
Yeah, that's value addition. And that's what Captain Traore is doing. So those are just some few things that Traore is doing. Please like our live, and I'm going to share a link later in this video so that you can join us. So
be part of the conversation.
Yes.
And have you realized how much this guy is an all-rounder? Well, all three of them. Let us give credit to all three when we speak. And I think by now our brothers know that and sisters know that if we say Traore, we mean all three. Right? How they are all-rounded in their development. One, they are in the health sector. I just mentioned that he went and visited these guys in hospital and said they can't be fighting in the forefront and saving their country and then be receiving healthcare that is not up to standard. So you are saying that he needs, or their government has to build proper infrastructure, healthcare, hospitals. They have to be up to that standard to cater for the injured and for all these guys who are sick in the country. He's also in infrastructure development, roads. We've seen the free housing project that Traore is doing. He's every agriculture,
Energy.
The equipment. This guy is all rounded. Give me an example of an African president, well, apart from the three, who's doing all sectors at the same time.
As a president, you have to look at your people. Because this guy, like for example, when Odema went to Burkina and he flew Air Burkina, and he was saying, Captain, but these planes, you see. So he said, I don't want a presidential jet. Do you know what he uses? He uses the military. Higher. Do you see Traore going to visit the people in the, like for example, Julas?
On the ground.
He uses the military vehicles. You will not see him with these expensive motorcades and all that.
These helicopters that our presidents
now you have asked, if you have asked, these guys are doing all these things together. We have seen them in energy, health, agriculture. They are talking about food self-sufficiency. We are seeing them in manufacturing and even value addition. military, that is security. They are building their military. Actually, even when he was in Russia, he asked Putin for just one thing. Please, I want you to help us grow our people. You see, I want us to help us grow up the knowledge of our people so that we can also be able to make these military weapons, these military vehicles from home. And they have already started.
Yeah.
But it's a disappointment, especially for a neighboring country of Nigeria, where, and I'm going to share this, where this where they have just endorsed they have endorsed Tinubu to run to run in 2027.
Tinubu for president.
Let me show
I
you
mean, come
there
on,
we
guys.
go. Tinubu endorsed for 2027 election by ruling party.
Hey, Nigerians. Yeah, oh.
But you know, the people who endorsed him is the party, and it's the people
They are
who are benefiting
Nigerians.
from.
They are the
from
citizens.
it. So this guy, there's a comment from one of the guys saying that now you have decided the 200-year-old president to continue running. You know,
How do we get to a place where, I mean, Nigerians have been complaining about
Yeah,
this guy
yeah.
since day one, and then you are endorsing him again? You can't be serious.
and you know the problem with the Western democracy, it's manipulation.
Yeah.
Manipulation, you will never get a good president. If this president is not for the West, you'd rather have this, like this 200-year-old president who cannot do anything. You'd rather have President Biya of Cameroon, who is like 93 or 94 years, who, you know, rather than have a young president, because this one is helping the West get what they want from Cameroon. That's it.
There's a meme on TikTok of African presidents. This guy,
This is
Ouattara,
the president
the Cameroonian.
of Equatorial Guinea.
When you look at the videos, you just ask yourself, African.
There's a
I
video
mean,
where they are greeting one another, right?
all the old guys.
Yes.
Even the
Tinubu
South
greet-
Sudanese guy. Then there's Museveni. I mean, maybe even 80% of our presidents are that around that age. And then in Kenya, there was Raila Odinga who also wanted to
The
run.
Pope, he wanted to run for
Errol Morris says, unfortunately, people of Africa would need to put their lives on the line to overthrow their puppet leaders before Africa could become one. That is very true.
That is very true.
Yeah.
And he continues and says, the new king cannot feed a new army without the land. Puppets would have to roll. And you know, we can talk about Traore. Traore banned the ownership of land in the villages. You can lease land in the cities, but not in villages. It reminds me of Zambia some years back, before we got this president of Zambia who's here today. The previous one was very much, you know, with Chinese. Was had this cooperation with the Chinese, where Zambia was like being owned by China. And you go deep into the Zambian villages to find Chinese people growing vegetables and keeping chickens. Something that can be done by the local people. So, you know, it's the land belongs to the people first before you can lease it to. That's the same thing as minerals. Before you lease it to the outside world,
why even
first
lease?
look inside.
And this reminds me of South Africa. Currently, Malema is on fire. Trump is Trump is not, is not having it. Ramaphosa has been summoned to the US. He was in the White House going to explain what Malema has been saying about these white guys and land ownership.
Watching that video, Ramaphosa, he was calm and well contained. And most people are saying that he went to embarrass himself, but that guy was calm up to a point where, he just let Trump continue.
But
Trump
why does it get to the
lie.
point where America feels like they can summon us and ask us childish questions like that. I mean, as if you can't make your own decisions for your own country. I didn't like it because this means that South Africa is not sovereign. Why should I answer to you what kind of decisions I'm making for my country? And just coming back to Malema, there's a recent clip when he's trying to respond to this issue. He says that Mandela is the one who came up with this kind of arrangement. The time for Mandela is over. This is our time. This is a new era. We need to make decisions that make sense to us. It made sense to Mandela that time because they were just post-apartheid and he wanted at least peace for the country. Well, some have a problem with Mandela and who he really is. But for Malema, it says, we are a new generation. We want the land now. We want to work on our land. We want to have the ownership. So you can't tell us Mandela said this. Mandela died how many years ago?
And Mandela, most people say he was also compromised. So I know people in the US, you learn about Mandela and they try to portray him as this best hero.
And when they portray him as the best, you should know that something is wrong
means, there. It means something is not right. But before we go too far, the question is, how can we leverage what Ibrahim Traore is doing in the ES and grow it beyond the ES borders? And Traore knows that Africans love him and the world loves him because he's the Africa we want. He's the kind of leader we want. But do you know these guys with their democracy, which only is democracy when it's favoring them, will not allow it? But how can we hold it dear as young Africans and run away with it? Know that we have Tiani, we have Traore, we have Goitasimi. But when we look at Chad, we have someone else. We have Central African Republic, someone else. We have Republic of Congo, the country with a president who have bleached their skin. When someone bleaches their skin, they are not. It shows that they are not confident in their own skin. They want to be a white man. That's the Republic.
And when the leader bleaches, the citizens fall victim. When you look at Congolese people, wow.
but that's the Republic of Congo. We have the Democratic Republic of Congo with the Tshisekedi. Then we have these countries. We were expecting Senegal could join, but man, and the way I've been rooting for them. Anyway, we are hoping that in the next for some years to come, we'll see that. But how can we leverage this and have it and and run away with it? These guys are the only countries in Africa who are sovereign, who are independent. And that's why we are saying that. You saw Ramaphosa. He went to the US. Do you think Traore would have gone to the US?
For what? No. Wasting his time?
Even when he went to Russia, he went there because he went to ask for knowledge sharing for his people because he wants his country to develop. He never went to ask for help with security like Ramaphosa was doing. You can help us with your technology. No, he's going to say, can you assist us with training our young people so that we can start making machines that you have here, and those are the kind of people we want. An independent country, people who don't care about what you say, but they'll still reply. So we read some comments.
So Bernard Great says, we as Gen Z, we can do business. We love our continent. And this is beautiful to see because the young guys are the ones who have woken up. Our parents, I don't know if I can say failed us or they were too asleep. And one thing about our parents, they were so much indoctrinated into religion, brainwashed. They didn't see beyond.
Beyond the generation that is above us. Most of the people still think that being white is
superior.
The
best.
They have that mentality of they are better than us. When I see a white man, I see money. I want to be married to a white man.
And in most of our homes, there was a white Jesus on the wall. Did you have one at home?
Yes. And when a young child is born, the one who's more brownish, this
Now
one
that's
looks like a white man.
yes, they are called Mzungu.
Actually, you see, when I was growing up,
Uh-huh.
we were raised in Catholic church,
Mhm.
and in the local Catholic church there was an Italian priest,
Mhm.
and this Italian priest baptized us.
Mm.
And my younger sister was very brown. Even today, she's very light. That's she's
Skin tone.
yeah. So this white priest, this Italian priest, had gotten used to the people calling and celebrating, lighter skins, and he would, pluck the cheek of my sister. Hey, Kamzungu, Kamzungu, like a white kid or something. So that's how it is. And that's how the reason
Brainwash.
we are talking about the president of Congo.
Mm.
You find people, but do you know it has reduced? I think with Gen Z, like Bernard Crate is saying, brother,
They are very old.
the people are, it's not like some years before. You are seeing a lot of people who are
Wanting to be Mzungu.
bleaching.
Yeah, you're asking a question on how we can leverage whatever Traoré is doing to the rest of Africa. At this point, I think our biggest enemy is democracy. And when you hear these BBCs, these propagandists in the West talking about Traoré is, what do you call this one?
Is a pushist.
Um,
Junta.
no. Museveni was called?
Dictator.
Dictator is, I'm looking for that word. When you hear them saying Traore is a dictator, it's the fact that he doesn't want to tolerate democracy. And the only tool that they can use to control Africa is democracy. And as long as we are democratic, as long as we push the narrative of democracy, trust me.
Democracy.
Yeah, trust
because
me.
Africa has its own democracy.
Yeah.
It's called Afrocracy or something. Afrocracy. Yeah.
We can never win this war because it requires a person who will hold the bull by its horns. And that's what you are seeing in Senegal. When these guys got in, we were so excited because we thought Sonko is the kind of guy that we're looking for.
Yeah.
And Jomai came in, democratic guy, went to France. And it shows you that with democracy, we will not achieve anything as long as we're pushing the narrative of democracy, elections. And they're so mad because Traore has postponed or has not given them the democratic elections for them to appoint their own puppet. Because once you talk about democracy, there's the ballot, and that thing can be messed up.
It's usually
that is the chance they get.
Actually, guys, let me tell you something about Africa. If you hear Nigeria is voting, know that voting is not people going to the ballot. That's a psyop, or that's just
Cover-up.
a cover-up. Voting is behind the scenes, and voting is about
the outcome is always
rigging. You know, the best side to rig better wins. It's not about people voting, it's about people rigging. So the one who's so good in rigging is the president.
Yeah.
So that's why you see before elections, you see this guy goes to the west, this guy goes to the east, this one goes to wherever. The rest doesn't. So they get a lot of funding to go around, campaigning. Then when they come back, when it's time to vote, now it's about, the game. Not the game. You hear about the servers, open the server, it was rigged, and all that. This is my president Ramaphosa is a sellout and hates us black South Africans. Democracy failed us. Yeah, when you see someone who's, of course, everybody knows that there's no genocide or white genocide in South Africa. And even Trump himself knows that. But when you see someone has to go to the US to convince them, because they also know, oh, you came, our puppet.
Yeah.
And
just talking about Ramaphosa, there's allegations, very serious allegations about South African presidents. As soon as they're elected, they say that after a month of election, they have to go to the UK to make some oath. I don't know how true this is. Maybe T can explain to us what happens there, because it starts with I saw Thabo Mbeki, I saw Jacob Zuma, I saw Ramaphosa actually having some.
It's like all the presidents go to the US.
Yeah, some beige. This guy's Jacob Zuma was with the Queen, Ramaphosa was with the King, and it's claimed or alleged that these guys go and say this oath that yes, they will allow people to have the freedom of speech, but when it comes to the real implementation of these matters on the ground, the people have no say. So the kind of leadership that we have is not for us, it's for the master. And we've always been saying the fact, we've always been talking about the fact that these guys don't serve our interest. And when you see these newspapers twisting the narrative of Traore to say that Traore is stealing the resources for his own good, it's because that is what happens with these guys. They are all about themselves, their families, making sure
people in Zimbabwe complaining a lot.
Yeah, making sure that their families are catered for the next, I don't know how many years. You see, then the rest of you can suffer.
So how can we leverage this and grow it beyond the EA's borders? The EA is doing good.
We need Bernard.
We need to bring it to Kenya. You saw the Kenyan senator saying, "Hey, this guy, it's just propaganda." We need to bring it here.
Yeah.
How? We need to bring it to Tanzania, Ethiopia, South Africa, Zimbabwe, Mozambique.
I think young people demanding more from their presidents.
It won't work.
It won't.
It won't. One thing is, our brother Morris said that it's about taking it, taking it by force.
Yeah.
It's about taking like the way these guys did. That could be one. But what I think is, you see, like we saw Mama Arikana taking his group of our brothers and sisters in diaspora to Burkina. And they have started, by the way, with the ADDI, myaddi.org. They have started, let me write the link here, myaddi.org. So with ADDI, African Diaspora Institute, they have started investing in these countries. So one thing could be our brothers and sisters coming and investing there, but we also need to bring it to our own countries. Maybe one thing that Traoré can do is make visa, reduce the price, because it was like $100, right?
Going to Burkina.
Yes, the visa.
The visa.
Yeah, it's $100. For many Africans, it's a lot.
But don't you think it works well for him right now? Because if you we always say that even in business, the way you value your business is the way you will sell your services to people. So maybe he values himself high.
No, it's about limiting. Because when you limit, say, you're limiting a lot of people, because paying $100 to go to put that, so it was like 55,000.
But doesn't that mean you get intentional people traveling?
If it's about people coming to infiltrate or compromise your country, those people have money. The people who want to do that have a lot of money. You see, the people who don't have a lot of money is
the ones that are genuine.
Those are genuine. They want to visit, they want to learn, they have a dream for their country.
Yeah.
You see, so that is one thing. And another thing is entrepreneurs. Genuine young people, young entrepreneurs can change the country. Because I was watching one entrepreneur say that the good thing about being an entrepreneur is you can change the course of your country. Being an entrepreneur, you have like a voice, because you are like one of the people who fund. But do you think like in Kenya they care about that? They are the entrepreneurs, they are the
everything, and they make the environment not so conducive for business and for entrepreneurship. When you start a small business, even if it's an online, the kind of taxes that you are made to pay just make you say, I would rather even evade this thing or have my own illegal thing going on in the background.
But let me say, for example, in Nigeria, if Dangote wanted to fund the next politician, rather than having the politician who become the president being funded by the West, someone in the West, who will now be pulling the strings. Dangote can fund that person, then he's a good guy, and he can take the country to wherever he wants. Like this guy just created the biggest oil refinery in both Europe and Africa. No, he had to listen to him because when they tried to push him to the wall, he fought and they had to fit in his box. Now he's the one who's controlling the price of fuel in Nigeria. People in Nigeria can tell us. Yeah.
But Nigerians are still suffering despite their richness in this mineral. In Niger, Gianni made sure that the prices go down for the benefit of the people. Nigeria, it's the opposite because Dangote is the one pushing this thing without the help of the government. If the government was holding this guy's hand, I swear life in Nigeria would be the best. And the kind of traffic
in Nigeria,
that you see.
There's a lot of entrepreneurs.
And there's a lot of, the market is huge. The population is big, it's huge. But for you not to leverage on that and use that to your benefit as Tinubu, I don't even know what Tinubu is doing in Nigeria.
So what do you think? How do you think we can leverage it?
Let's go to T. T says, in my country, yes, the head of state does go to the UK in a foreign tour, but sell out politicians serve in South Africa.
Serve
not only our colonizers, but the white men
who benefited from apartheid.
Very much unfortunate. And we have these 49 South Africans who claim they are mistreated, ill-treated, and ran away to the US. It's funny how the Americans are laughing at these guys and saying that you people are not ready for what is at stake because you call yourselves farmers and here you would be farm workers. It's not time to entertain you. So it is very unfortunate that we know these things are happening, but do we even have a voice?
I think that was just a show. Those guys have
they'll
gone
come
for
back.
holiday.
They'll definitely. Some people are saying those guys will not even stay a month. They'll definitely come back. It's just some PR stunt. Elon Musk and Trump. I don't know. Hi, Linda. So you're asking how can we live?
How do you think we can live? How can
just as I was saying, for me, it's doing away with the white man's democracy. That's the only way, because if you are to work with what you have, trust me, you will always fail because these people are making sure that they are safe. One, the problem that we have with our leaders is the fact that most of them are compromised. You find that they have dirty laundry or they come from a lineage of, your grandfather was president, like is it Guinea or what's this country? Where it's a whole... Togo. It's a whole lineage, and because your father or your grandfather was a sellout, now you can't even do anything because you have to continue that legacy. Otherwise, your stories, whatever, would be out in the public and the people would be against you. Some guy went and ran to Ouattara's country, Ivory Coast. I think it's Burkina Faso guy, because of this kind of things that they do. And the problem with France and the West, once they use you, they dump you. They don't even cater for your needs or for your family. So these guys are always scared that if I dare go against, then I'm in trouble. My whole family will be in trouble. So unless we remove all these puppets, can't leverage.
So removing, the problem is...
Traore! We have a Traore.
They fund him. They fund the guy. He wins election because they even support this, server thing and the hacking thing and all that. This guy become president, he continues the thing.
Morris has a suggestion.
So our brother is saying, try getting a Traore representative in each country's elections. Make clear the person allegiance. If they win, so does Africa. Play them at their own game. Transform puppets to knights of the realm. Ooh,
the minute they know that who you are gone. You are gone. You know what's funny is that in Francophone countries, for example, talking about representatives, France has representatives. Well, the ones that are still under control. In all ministries, there's a
A
French
representative.
representatives spying, as Traore calls it, on whatever activities and the plans that you have. So the minute they know that there's somebody who's our enemy here, unless I don't know what kind of,
So-
maybe if Russia was to help us have our own,
My problem with it's elections.
yeah.
Like, let me tell you how it happens. Like, we change even constitutions. One thing is, you find, like, we had a constitution and it had the way, to do our elections. Like, we have these people who we are going to vote. Then they bring in another constitution, and it's almost the same thing, only that they have added more of their friends. Like, you have to vote for 10 people. It was 5, now it's 10. But if you go to countries like, I think it's Norway or Switzerland, where they revoke after 1 year, you get a new president. Another you see, like China, you vote for the lowest person. Then if it's the lowest, the location, then they vote for each other up to the. So even elections are not expensive. But here, the elections are usually manipulated. So even if we get a Traore, there will be manipulation. Even if we get Traore representatives, will be manipulation. Maybe something that can work is, you see, people who are pro Traore, people who are like that, we can have a Pan-African group, like the one, PLO formed in some African university somewhere in Kenya.
Yeah,
And
Machakos, I think.
he invited Malema. It was Pan-African University, right?
Yeah.
So if those guys could come together and have representatives, they can even have the party, like Malema's party is called
EFF.
EFF. They can have like a party like that, which is like you were saying, I want to make it African. Then these guys can even be taking young people to those countries, go see how it's working, go to China, they fund it and all that. Then these young people train more young people. And the population of Africa is, I think, more than 60% young people. 60% can make they can make a good leader win, a leader who is not manipulated or compromised by.
But is it possible with the puppet leaders that we have? For example, in Kenya, when elections are organized by young people just fighting against the corrupt leadership that is happening in the country, I mean, how many deaths have we counted just last year only? Is it possible to have such arrangements and to have these guys being empowered without
These guys
silencing
coming in,
them? Is it possible? Because for me, I'm thinking if we endorse Traore as the African president, or not president, the African, king,
like we have said.
and then how do we remove these other puppets? I don't know how, but have Traore take control of the whole of Africa and, come up with a kind of a yes, or have the AES model trickle down to the rest of the African countries. I don't know. I think because the funny thing about Burkina Faso, I was telling you just recently, just now actually, that everywhere, even doctors are colonel something. The guy wants disciplined people. So the only people we can trust is the guys that he knows are disciplined, the kind of, people that come from his own sector.
Another thing about Burkina Faso is, if you go to the ground, all young people are pro Traore. You see? All young people, you will not find someone who is like,
against.
If he's so good, why didn't he arrange for elections? Like some white dude was asking on TikTok, if he's so good, if they love him so much, why couldn't he arrange for elections? Of course, elections cannot be done when some people are still in IDPs, like he said. Of course, you want to, come in and do your own thing so that you can have your own puppet.
Do you know what it takes for a person to give up their life, to sleep on the street just to protect his president?
People sleeping on the
we have volunteers, people volunteering to protect their country.
There's the young people who are sleeping on the streets to protect Traore.
Yeah.
They are young people who
VDPs.
have the VDPs
Mhm.
who have gone to fight the terrorists. They are, these guys didn't have a lot of military stuff. So what they did, they had to, try to convince young people, you for the
Train.
country, come and fight. So you are being trained very fast,
Mm.
and you start fighting. So those are the VDPs.
Mm.
Yeah. So it's a lot of work that this guy is doing. Yeah.
C&S says voting and elections will not bring any change anywhere. Who determines those who end up in the final list of candidates? That is who chooses a country's
Yeah.
leaders. That is democracy for you. Western democracy, it is predetermined. The fact that next year is somebody's election, I don't know, voting, whatever country, is already known.
Yeah.
The best president for the West, and that is the guy that will win, because the better chances is when you are able to steal more votes than others.
This is South Africa is a true democracy, but he is assaulted by propaganda in the national media. It's everywhere, propaganda. But the young people are now very woke.
But I think T is saying South Africa is a true democracy just because of the freedom of speech. And one funny thing that I've heard about this is that, well, the allegations about this president going to the UK, it said that you will allow these people to have the freedom of speech, of expression, so that in their heads they think that they are free. When President Uhuru Kenyatta was the president in Kenya, people could literally say anything and the guy was not bothered.
Yeah.
And the guy was not bothered by whatever you say. Any insult, actually, he would say, I don't even care. I hear a lot of people insulting me. Because for us, the fact that I can express myself without getting some jail time or without being abducted and maybe punished for that, we think that is democracy. But democracy, that's the white man's democracy. They want you to feel and think that you are free to say anything when you are actually not free, because your country is still being held hostage. Ramaphosa has been called to the White House. Is that democracy?
No,
The guy has to be able to make his own
in-
decisions for his country.
Even for democracy, it's the leader listening to what the people want. But after you become the president, because you are voted in, now you become a dictator until you want to be voted in again.
Yeah.
That's what happens. And T was talking about Malema being assaulted by the national media, making him seem like a crazy person. Yeah, the media, they own the media. What can we say? Then we have...
But T, why don't you guys vote for Malema?
there are people who voted for Malema, obviously. But now propaganda works perfectly. And I don't think even the other side, the 7%, is it 7%, would allow him to become president because this guy was going to take land. C&S says, for example, the House of Lords in England has almost 800 members. None of them are elected. They overrule all laws made by the House of Parliament. The head of state is a monarch. Do people even vote in the UK? And these people, there was some stupid guy who was saying that we brought them democracy. You don't have democracy. That's what works for you. Then he continues and saying, okay, it's the same.
I think it's the same. Just repeat it.
Yeah. So, well, we have a lot, but I think what Traore is doing, what Tiani is doing, what Oitasimi is doing, has woken up a lot of Africans. When you see from South Africa to, Libya, from West Africa, Gambia, to the Horn of Africa, then you go to Jamaica, brothers and sisters in the Caribbean, you go to the US, you go to, Suriname, you go to West Papua New Guinea, Indonesia, people are praising Traore, even in Russia. This is how this guy has woken up people.
And why do you think, sorry, just continue.
Why?
Why do you think the African presidents are not interested in this Traore?
Which president is interested except the Ghanaian president?
No one is interested. Nobody wants to talk
even
about it.
Even the president of Senegal is not
Nobody
interested.
wants to even comment on it. It's like they are not seeing what is happening.
Because, these guys have been voted through the Western democracy.
They can't betray them.
If they praise these guys,
It's
if they
betrayal.
praise these guys, because it will be like, what will happen if it happens to me?
Hey.
You know, the only person who seems to listen to the people is the president of Ghana, Mahama. But I wonder if he's ready to join the AES because he still wants to be in ECOWAS. I don't know why it's like the Senegalese president keeping pushing. How many months before we completely leave ECOWAS? Like the grace period that they gave us of 6 months?
I think it's
2 months.
Yeah, it's almost. Is it not
Yeah,
May, June?
June, July, because it was Feb, and they said we as the AES, they needed to give us how many more months? 6. 6 months from Feb is July, right? Then Mr. T says our people are ignorant and lack basic education. This is intentional, so they don't have critical thinking skills. Yeah. That is the problem with the democracy that we have in Africa. Because you remember we are watching this video of people at that point are very, very angry. And you are seeing a lady in the village praising the same person who people are angry at. And you are like, does she knows what is happening in the country? That is democracy.
Yeah.
The democracy, you elect the person who is able to lie to you better. The person who is able to tell you lies in the best way is the
That's
person
the
you
best.
vote for.
Yeah.
Yeah. CNS says during the colonial rule, voting and elections were illegal. At independence, the colonial countries were at the forefront of pushing for elections in the former colonies. Have to ask why. If voting changed anything, it would be made illegal. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But we need to do something like, you see, like the very countries just took the country and they just nominated. But, I usually have this idea of, Africa was not countries. Africa was micronations. They called us tribes and said if you talk about it, it is tribalism and all that. But we were, and it's different tribes. I think we need to start from there. How did this micronation, how did this ethnic group used to rule? Like for you, you still have your king. But what about the Zulu people? They have their king, but ceremonial. What about the Mijikenda people of Kenya? We don't even know what they had. But you find if you go to central Kenya, they had, council of elders. They never had a leader. They had leaders. People used to sit down and say, this is our area, we have the council of elders. They would say, what do we do together? Then they'll consult the other council of elders from the other, area. Then all the rules will be made by this council of elders. Not one person being manipulated by the rest. And that's what Tiani is doing. The president of the council of the National Council for Safeguarding of the Fatherland. That is Tiani.
They sponsor you, you are their puppet. And that's the thing that we're talking about in Mali.
Yeah.
Mali says that, I don't know, after 5 years when they are electing the next president, Assimi Goïta and his government suggested that, I don't know, you have to have how many millions of CFA francs in your, in your account. So this shows you that Mali might be going the wrong direction, because the minute you put monetary security to being a president, it means the one who will be able to convince the West to sponsor, his campaign or her campaign is the one that will win. I mean, why do I need to have so many millions in my bank for me to be elected as president of a country? When they came in, did they have all those millions? So democracy and all this voting and all these elections is just, it's the worst thing that can happen to any African country. Already we are seeing Mali. I'm very afraid for Mali. The next coming years.
I think Tiani and Traore had to push him to take the 5 years.
Yeah, because he was not
planning
sure
for elections.
Yeah, he was not sure what to do, and I don't know why Assimi Goita feels the need to satisfy
I
the
think
outside
I think
forces.
becoming the president,
Mhm.
he had to he had to he had to take the country, but it was not like that
In
first
him.
instance
Yeah.
where it's in you want to sacrifice.
Mm.
And I love this guy who said that I'm very old.
There's nothing that excites me anymore.
Things don't excite me anymore. It's Abraham Antiani.
Yeah.
And this guy also said another thing. He said that we are going across all the country talking to the people. We want to know how the people want to be ruled. If they want a king, we'll give them a king. If they want a president, we'll give them a president. If they want this, and that is what they are putting in their constitution. So this thing of saying that they are going to vote after 5 years should not be there. Give people time to think. And brothers and sisters who have put a link on the, you know, let me load it again. It's a link on the comment section. If you'd like to join us, just click that. Click that. And our brother Mark is very disappointed with Senegal. Me too, by the way.
What was your grace period for Senegal? We kept saying, let's give them
Yeah,
time.
I'm a frequent traveler
To Senegal.
to Senegal. And I have friends, I have people I call brothers in Senegal, and I listen to them. I listen to them because they are people who are having, the first hand, information and experience on the ground. One thing is when these people came, when before the vote, people wanted Sonko, but Sonko, I don't know what they did to him, and they stopped him from running. So that he doesn't lose, they had to put someone that this person is his best friend, his very very best friend, and he was also the secretary general of his party. So this is to tell you that this is someone who, they speak even beyond work relations. These are people who, even you see Jomaify gets a daughter, and he names the daughter Sonko's mother. They are that close. When this guy was fired, the other one was helping him. They are close, very close. But the problem is this guy, I think the way we see it is like he's scared.
Sonko?
Yeah. So when I speak to these people, they tell me, wait, these guys are on the right track. We are seeing things they are doing, but they don't have the parliament. So let us wait for the parliament.
They have it now.
Now they have it. So I would still give them, say, let's see.
More time?
No, then, before they got the parliament. But now, I remember he signed a decree saying that I want to remove the French military. And some people in the military were fighting him because they never wanted him to leave. They would say, these people have been training us, we are using their materials, I don't know
What materials?
Old people. Because I also talked to some very old person there, and different from Burkina, this person told me that if the French leave our country, we are finished. We cannot do without them. He believes 100% that they cannot do without the French. That's the problem we have. But now we have these guys. One, the prime minister is into the AES. He wants in. He wants to be there. The other one, who's the president, is like, no, we are not joining, and we have to push them to come back to ECOWAS. So you wonder what is happening. I was listening to the interview of Sonko when he visited Burkina in the commemoration of Thomas Sankara and the launch of his mausoleum. And when I listened to him, even when he was being asked, what do you think about the currency? Before, Sonko would say, we want our currency, we
don't want CFA.
Yeah, we want to bring in our currency. This time he just went around and say, we need to sit down as equals, think about how it's benefiting us and all that. So I lost hope because this is Sonko now. This is Osman Sonko.
The one we
diamond, the
trusted.
star
Yeah.
of Senegal.
Just recently, I think we
The
reported
lion.
on the fact that France was informing us that they have relinquished their third base in Senegal. And just how those news came out from their Twitter page or X page, it showed us that honestly, Senegal is way lost, because if you are serious about making changes in your country, it means you should be the one in leadership of those changes. And France being the ones to report to us such news shows us that Seneca is very much far. And some of you brothers and sisters were saying that it is difficult because these two are not army personnel. They're not like Traore, Chiani, and Goita. Some of them, they have to tread carefully. They have to come up with strategies in which they can get out these guys from their country. And I remember Chumaifai saying, we don't want to have just an abstract rapture of France. So we want to do it. France is not our enemy. We want to separate, in a friendly way.
Yeah.
And that really showed me that these guys are too far from independence, from liberation, from even developing their country.
Yeah.
When you're telling me about the kind of control that they have, these roads, infrastructure, they are the ones who are benefiting, monetary benefits.
And-
Taxes are being
yeah.
paid to France.
Yeah. And do you remember when there was this time when they announced it was Senegal, it was Chad, and Cote d'Ivoire, and they announced that they are removing the military base. At the same time, Emmanuel Makoko goes online and says these people are pretending that it's coming from them, but in real sense, it is our arrangement. It is us who are coming out to say we want to do this arrangement. One thing Traore said is, if you want to end this problem, it's not about just moving out the military bases. It's about cancelling the contract, the agreements. Then Mako says whatever he's saying, that it was arrangement. We think it's only Cote d'Ivoire. We see Sonko reply to Timana Mako. A big message. But now, why don't you end the cooperation rather than just pushing out the military piece? So it means that these people are still in your ministry.
Do you know what the problem is? Most of these francophone countries, well, according to Traore's allegations, is the fact that they don't even have equipment. So when you end the military cooperation, it means you are left without even a single gun.
But they have gold. You know that.
But by the time you buy this equipment, some of them are scared for the fact that the terrorists will be sent in and you can't be able to defend yourself.
Especially in Senegal, there's that problem of the Casamance. We talked about it when some white guy was talking about the secession of Casamance from Senegal, and Sonko had to reiterate that they can use that because sometimes back there was that problem of insurgents. Yeah.
Remember what happened in Kidal when Mali was fighting day and night, fighting these terrorists? The only thing that saved them is the fact that they were now, all three of them were supporting each other. The army, the military from all three countries, was strong. Otherwise, if Mali was alone with no equipment and France has left you, they would have suffered. That's the fear of these guys, because one, you have no intel, you have no intelligence on how the military works. You are not a military guy, and then now you are chasing out France,
and the military guys are against it.
You see, so how do you now defend yourself? That's a problem with these countries. But if it's the military people taking the lead, like Traore, Chiani, and Assimi Goita, it's easier because they know what kind of equipment they need. They know where the resources are. What kind of agreement they can make with these countries supplying or selling this equipment, like your Russia's, your Turkey, the drones. They know the kind of equipment that they will need to fight the certain number of terrorists that are always sent to their countries. So for these ones, it's easier.
Can say, like when Traore was taking the country, he says they had 200 Kalashnikov.
You see, for the whole army.
So we can say Senegal has
20.
about say 500 at
or
most.
less. You see, how do you now fight? How do you now, even these guys, the colonels and the generals are not maybe on your side, then you are doomed. So that's their fear.
Yeah, but how do we leverage? That is the question. This says, I don't like democracy, only the rich benefit from it. That is it. In it, the rich,
The
their
puppets.
friends, the politicians, that's what they do. Once they live there, you only see them. Actually, even before they leave the seats, they are there showing us in TikTok and Instagram.
Yeah. Have you realized how these guys do it? If you're an activist working against, this corruption in all African countries,
You
all
get
of
paid.
them, the minute they hold you close, it's the end of your career as an activist.
Yeah.
And that's where we say only the rich and those who are vocal enough and know that they're being vocal, they want something from the government. Once they get something in their pockets, end
It's
of
finished.
activism, end of
Finished.
it. It's literally the end of their career. So democracy is all about that. If you want to benefit, be an activist in your country.
Yeah.
You will definitely gain something.
Yeah. So we had posted a link on the comment section. If you'd like to join us on the studio, you can click that.
Yeah.
But what are we going to do now as African Pass? We keep supporting Traore, we keep reporting, we keep highlighting what is happening, and we I think we can still start supporting, our people who are doing something, people who are doing something for
The
Africa.
betterment of Africa.
Yeah. Like there are a lot of, we can call them entrepreneurs. There are a lot of young people who are trying things to save the, the Africa as we know it. And we've seen, Africa can develop in a very fast pace. And I think that's where the ES is going. Like Rwanda was in shambles some 30 years ago. Now Rwanda is one of the best countries you can want to go. Our brother Mark says the South African government needs to remove the citizenship of anyone who go to the USA as a refugee. Those people are going there
They're on holiday.
It's a holiday. They have made a lot of money. They
It's
can't go.
propaganda.
In South Africa they are praised.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
They
are
are
praised. You are worshipped.
You have the land.
You have the big land, acres
Yeah.
and by the way, brother, you need to visit South Africa. You'll be shocked. As in, what you see when you see where the black people live, it's a slum. We can say this. You call them townships, surrounded by horizons and horizons of land, like vast.
This is
You cannot see beyond the horizon. One farm with cows, with wheat, with whatever, belonging to one family. But what pained me is when these people were, Malema said, we want to get back land. These people said that not everybody can farm. But before these people came, you kept cattle, you kept animals, you farmed and all that.
We farm under extensive heat. We still farm and we're able to tolerate any kind of weather. And then you are here to tell us that we can't farm. And the same people working in your farms is us, black people. You are just there driving your tractors and moving around in your pickups, just monitoring what is happening. And you call us, they say we can't do it.
But our people down there just want to have a job and some money and a car. This money can buy whatever they made in those farms, and it's manufactured from. If it's milk, it's processed. You buy, but you cannot keep your own cow and do the same. So it's painful. This says it's crazy that the defense minister of Ivory Coast went to Turkey to tell the Turkish minister of defense, stop selling weapons to be careful. Yes, that's and by they are also saying that they have military bases in Benin, the French, and Ivory Coast in the north, and those are the people who are being used to enter these countries.
No.
So that's the Africa we have. Today, even the senator from Kenya was saying Ibrahim Traore is like a dictator. People are being killed. He's not doing anything and all that. After reading from BBC, right? So it's
Doing
our
research.
people. You know, they are the same people who say, we praise Thomas Sankara was a good person. He fought for his people. Hey, Patrice Lumumba fought for the Congolese people. Silvanos Olympio of Togo fought for his people. But they will go, you see them hugging with Foch Nyasimbe. In Togo, the best president or the first president of Togo was Silvanos Olympio. He was pro-people, just like the leaders of the AES. The person who killed him was the father of the current president, Foch Nyasimbe, who has now made himself the king of Togo. You see? So Togo just know the people of Togo just knows that we had a beautiful president at the beginning, then came someone who killed him, a puppet, and the airport is named after that puppet, and the son is now the president, and now he's the king. So it's a country of a whole family, a country that was very promising.
And the Togolese are still quiet.
So it's usually our own people who, even right now, even when you go online and they are talking about Traore, someone is praising Traore, you see like half it's Nigerians, it's Kenyans, it's there was
Ghana.
there's is this very renowned uh, journalist from Nigeria who was talking about the people, how the people are being used. And one snippet of a newspaper he got from either CNN or BBC, and it was talking about the Sahel. And do you know the person who was commenting was a Sahel expert from the one of the cities of the Sahel called Nairobi. You're in Nairobi, Kenya, and you so know the Sahel better than the people who live there. And you're the one commenting on those propagandists, whatever. So then, like T is saying, the media war is intensifying on Traore. Only patriotic Africans can save him.
I don't think they stand a chance.
They don't. Because if it's Reuters, if it's CNN, if it's BBC, it's only those. If it's June Africa, if it's, June Africa, you go to Senegal, it's there. If it's,
France 24.
France 24, RFI, and all that. If it's those, we can count them. But when we talk about the digital media and the internet is everywhere, people are not watching these things. They are watching
No, we're
TikTok.
not.
If it's TikTok, you find it's like a million TVs online. If it's YouTube, we are here, and many other people. If
Yeah.
it's so they don't stand a chance.
Yeah, I'm just glad that Burkina Faso have started even trying to communicate to us in English, because most of them speak French, but they are really trying to communicate in English so that the information reaches every single person in the African continent.
If you want to know, Traore realizes his importance to the world. Even in his Twitter, he writes
In English now.
twice.
Yeah.
He in French, especially when he's out in, he's talking the people in Russia. He writes in French and in English. Sanders says the colonial clerks adored revolutionaries. They quote them, name streets after them, and turn them into harmless icons. Why? Because the dead do not disturb the present order. They are coming back.
Yeah, and there's just a question that some of our guiding questions was, how do we prepare young people to become the next Traorés? And at this point, I'm seeing a lot of us standing up against imperialism, even talking about it, because the biggest thing is once you remove the fear, anything else becomes easier. And with the kind of religion that was introduced to Africa, it made us fear doing anything, even going against our elders.
Yeah.
It felt like it's a sin. If Ouattara is the president, let him be the president forever, because you cannot stand against an elder, and that is religion for you. We were so much brainwashed to think that we have to respect our elders' decisions the way they are. But right now we're waking up realizing that religion has wasted a lot of us, and it's over for religion, it's over for media propaganda, imperialism, we are done with it. So young people are starting to gear up. When you see T here saying he's not happy with the kind of situation that is happening in South Africa, shows you that young people are tired. And the minute that young people become the Traorés of their countries, Africa will be liberated. And trust me, when we see the kind of developments that are happening in these
They
AES
want to
countries,
hide the
we
things.
will wonder what is happening, and we will stand against anybody who is making sure that we don't achieve what and the AES is saying, is doing. Sorry.
Yeah, Jamaica in the house. Our brothers and sisters in Jamaica, we love you so much. Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, Haiti, Dominican
The
Republic,
Caribbean.
Saint Kitts and Nevis, the Caribbean. Yeah,
Yeah, you've been here since day one, and we see you. So CNS says that's why we will quote Lumumba,
Michelle.
Samira Machel, Sankara, Cabral, Steve Biko, etc. But living revolutionaries, they are dangerous. They speak, they act, they refuse to be
They
corrupted.
hated Magufuli.
Hey,
They hated Magufuli,
yeah,
but loved him. You know, we've been woke for quite some time.
yeah, for quite some time during the times of Magufuli. And I just realized that the Burundian, is it Burundi?
Yeah,
Burundian
the
president
former president of Burundi.
was also silenced for speaking or standing against,
But you know,
that era.
development-wise and for the people,
He wasn't there.
He wasn't.
Brothers and sisters, you can join us. Let us interact. Let us see who you are. Would love to talk to you face to face. T, you are here. Come on. The link is on the. Have you posted it?
Then,
Yeah, you can join us, and just switch off your camera if you don't want to be seen. Let's have a conversation before we end the video, the live.
yeah, the system fears them, for they expose its contradictions and threaten to grip it on its power. That's why the establishment only praises rebels once they are safely in the grave. You know, there's something Sankara said. Traore is saying that imperialism is, we can say, a very stupid idea because it uses the same tactic.
Yeah.
You know, this same tactic that they are using. The problem is, look at the tactic. It's in a time when we have woken up. We cannot. They are using propaganda. It's not working. Now, something that will stop working is the puppetry. Like Alassane Ouattara is going to leave, and
There's these rumors about
go in Cote d'Ivoire. Come on, that's a psyop.
and everybody's been talking about it. I'm like, what do you mean?
No.
Nothing like that.
Ouattara is not. You know, when you talk about a hand of France in Africa, you have Ouattara.
Yeah.
Alassane Ouattara.
That guy is a true servant.
It's good.
Wow.
Yeah. That guy goes to France every month. Every month.
To take orders.
No, he's. I think he's sick. He goes for checkups.
New Zealand's taking orders.
Yeah, of course, once in a while, but monthly. And you know what they just did in Cote d'Ivoire? They had this cooperation with what is it called? It's COSEA. COSEA is like, you know, they deal with airlines. So it's a French thing. So they have this cooperation in which the families of those people at the top, the parliamentaries, the ministers, can now be going to France cheaply to be treated. You know, like they have a deal where, you can go to France whenever you like for checkups and all that, rather than building hospitals in Cote d'Ivoire, improving hospitals in Cote d'Ivoire, training doctors in Cote d'Ivoire, so that you remember the president of Namibia, he would go
for treatment, cancer.
Finally, he died in his own country. Why don't you use whatever you have to develop your country, then everybody will be happy. Why do you have to keep going there? Finally, you die and be buried in that soil, whether your wife is from France or whatever.
Yeah, and just going back to what Traore did when he visited Bogotulaso, saying that he needs to improve the health sector, hospitals, so that the military people who are in the forefront of serving their country can be treated in good hospitals and good with good infrastructure.
And
That's the
that
kind of
hospital is
leadership.
big.
That's
Yes,
the kind of leadership.
yeah.
Yeah.
That hospital is very huge, and I think it has like 5,000 bed capacity.
Mm.
It's huge. It's very huge. So the there are lots of things that Ibrahim Traore has done. We have seen them, but the big question is,
I think he wants to join.
yeah,
What is
let me.
happening?
It's not connected.
Let's just try to add you, T. We can see your request, but I don't know why it's not connected.
Saying donate.
Device.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay. T, you have not connected your microphone and camera before. Okay, you have not connected. Okay, there you
No,
go.
it's connected.
There you go. Welcome. Let us, you know, tell us something.
Ujani.
Gone.
It's Conan. What do you have to say
Okay.
about this? We're talking a lot about Ramaphosa and, the kind of arrangement that you guys have in South Africa.
Oh, that guy is a big sellout, big time sellout. He
Yeah.
became a millionaire from apartheid. So I know him. I know his history. He's the worst president after Jacob Zuma. The worst president. I honestly
But
don't
is
like him.
it is it his father? Was it his father part of the sellouts during the apartheid
Who was
era?
the police?
Yeah, who was a police or
The
Yes,
something?
father
The father of Ramaphosa.
yes, he was part of
Mm-hmm.
the apartheid law enforcement. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
he was. But since then, he's just become part of the white establishment where he's partnered up with the biggest um, companies from apartheid, which are the biggest companies not only in Africa but in the southern in SADC, if you know the
Yeah.
SADC region.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, look, basically, what I have my problem with him is that he's destroying our institutions like ESCOM, which is our power utility.
yeah,
So he wants private companies to take over our power grid so they can make a profit. He's destroying our national railway so his friends can take over that industry and privatize it so they can make a profit. And he's also destroying the country's airliner. So again, his very rich friends can profit off of it. So he's
yeah.
intentionally destroying state capacity. And eventually it's going to get to the point where these very rich Afrikaner men are going to control us again without even needing to become part of the politics.
Mm,
That's my problem with him.
mm.
And I'm sure he's part of the private guys who want to take over.
Of course, shareholding.
Yeah,
Mm,
Yes,
that's what
yes,
we are
he's a
doing.
major shareholder.
mm. But well, before even the GNU came about, I think we already knew who Ramaphosa is really. For us to now say, I mean, ESCOM load shedding has been there for quite some time. I think even during the Zuma era, just that this guy
Oh
has
yes.
escalated everything, and I'm even surprised you are here with us during this live because you should be having a blackout. This guy's been
Oh
doomed when it
no.
comes to energy. Yeah.
Oh, um, you see what's happening is that the blackouts are actually intentional. You know, it's more like he's trying to make it seem as if the national power utility is failing so that he can bring in the private sector into the national grid. That's what he's actually trying to do. But since before the 2 months before last year's election, before the GNU, he actually made it so that load shedding was reduced. I don't know by how many
Yeah.
hours we got more electricity, but it's significantly reduced. Even in the rural areas, there's little to no load shedding. In some areas, yes, there's load shedding because they just don't care, but it's not as bad as it used to be. We used to have 12 hours. Now it's less than 4 hours,
You see?
but only in the most rural, most neglected parts of South Africa.
Mm. Mm.
Yes. So he's
I
just
remember.
trying to save the ANC. He's not really caring.
Yeah, I remember Malema saying this, like, how miraculously can you be able to deal with the issue of load shedding during elections? It shows you that this is the same script for most African countries. Make it look like the systems don't work so that you can put in your private sector to run and control all of these industry sectors in our country. Same script everywhere. Kenya, Ghana, everybody's complaining. If you see a president pushing forward privatization of
Yeah. It's
everything, then just know that we are doomed.
it's like a script that they get from the West,
Yeah,
because the same thing that is happening in South Africa is happening in Kenya.
yeah,
Only that in Kenya it will not be in the
yeah, the
electricity
extreme.
sector. It will be in the medical sector. It will be in
Exactly,
the transport sector, mostly the
exactly.
port,
Hmm.
the rail, the airline.
Yeah.
It will be in the agricultural sector. It's like a script that they get,
Mm,
and the West pushes for privatization
yeah.
because they love
Yes.
capitalism. But when you look at a country like China, most big companies and are corporations. For example, you talk about those guys who make roads and bridges in Kenya or in Africa.
Hmm.
China Roads and Bridges Corporation.
Yeah.
It's a government thing. So they take a
Yes.
company, they build a company, they raise it to be, it's a government company, but it's even better than the private companies.
Mm,
So I think this
Yes.
is the Western thing.
yeah. Unfortunately for you
Yeah.
guys, it's, I think even your health sector in South Africa failed.
Oh, it's
Public
terrible.
hospital failed. Even for schools failed. So you see, it's the same script everywhere.
Hmm.
Make sure that these people fail so that you can bring your own.
Yeah, it's only I've seen the areas where I've been educated in the black schools, and I've also had the privilege to see where white people get educated, and it's like you're going to maybe a middle income country compared to a third world country. When you go to black people, it's third world, but when you go to white people, it's first world and middle income country. There's a vast difference. They have access to the internet, they have Wi-Fi, they even have swimming pools to teach them about athleticism. But we don't have anything. We really don't have anything. I'm telling you, it's so bad that one
Yeah.
time somebody told me that there was a storm and the roof of one school building had blown off. That's how bad it is. And guess how long it took them to repair it? It took them like 3 months to repair it.
Just the
Wow.
roof.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
It's
just
like,
the roof.
Yeah.
in Kenya, we still
It's
have
really
this.
bad. But you know what? They actually have the money to fix this.
Yeah, they
Of
do.
course.
They
Of
do.
course.
They have a lot of. Can I tell you something?
Hmm.
Do you know that in my country, in South Africa, there's this statistics. There's the state-owned statistics institution. It monitors everything. They say that about $42 million goes missing every single month, just missing.
Wow. That's a
Forty-two
lot.
million dollars,
Missing in people's
and
pockets.
yes, and more than I think about nearly a billion or more just goes missing. This is we're not even talking about corruption, just goes missing.
Missing, unaccounted for.
Yeah.
Oh, unaccounted for. And
Wow.
the state spends about 12 trillion rand, which is I think about $30 billion just to to keep the country running. And somehow almost a billion just goes missing.
Hey,
Yeah, we have a problem in Africa.
how do you even explain that?
We need more coups like the AES coup.
Hey.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's the situation. I think it's everywhere, and that's what we are saying. Like, how do we leverage this? And
Yeah.
unless we take matters
Yeah.
into our own hands, I mean, talking about these issues is not enough. Well, it does something, but we need to take action. The problem is that when you go out on the streets, you are silenced, you are gunned down. It's the end of you. So how do we talk about these things and have action and implement these actions on the ground? That is where we haven't gotten it right as the African
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
PLO keeps on saying we are divided, we need unity.
But
How do we?
we will not unite if Congo is still fighting with Rwanda, Tanzania and Kenya at loggerheads,
Yeah.
So we need to start from here, wherever we are. And I'm telling you, even if it's in a very small way, it's working.
Mm,
Like right now, we know what is happening. Most of us do. You see, like 75% of Africans know,
yeah.
and they can stand and say, we don't want this, we want this.
Yeah.
So from here now we can go to the ground where we are talking about, like we said, PLO did. You start a small
Pan
school or
Africanist.
a group of people where people meet and talk about these things.
Mhm.
Then slowly by slowly, the next 5 years, 10 years, we'll be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Malema is also trying in South Africa, but most of you, T, I kunenkinga.
I'm
You don't know
sorry.
what.
It's
Yeah.
just oh God. If you have a conversation with the ordinary South African, my God, they are ignorant. They are very ignorant, and some hate him. I don't know why. Some are just
Mm,
ignorant and don't know what they're talking about.
mm,
And let me tell you something. They worship Ramaphosa. Some of them. They worship him.
yeah.
Really?
They
Cupcake.
worship him. But the ones that they worship the most are the white minority. That's who they
Yeah.
really want to
Yeah.
work for.
Yeah.
Yeah, and because Malema challenges it, they have a problem with him there.
Mm,
Yeah, and it's mostly the youth that actually likes him. The older generation, they're more stuck with the ANC. The middle class black people, they some of them go to the FF or some of them go to the ANC. Majority of middle class black people actually vote for black parties, but there's a minority of black people who are in the middle class who vote for racist white parties. I don't
mm.
know why. Maybe they want to be included, but yeah, I have a problem with them too.
What about MK? MK seemed like something that was brought in to, divide the Malema votes because he had those
Yeah.
policies and promises of Malema
Mm.
in a way that would not include
The
the
foreigners.
foreigners.
Um. Okay. Okay. Zuma, the leader of the MK party,
Yeah.
actually, if around I think it was 2017, no 2018, he was basically there's a process where a president is removed from power before the end of his term.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah. Yeah.
remember the term of that.
What is it?
So Malema was one of the people who pushed for him to resign.
Mm.
So
Uh,
they he still got that. He's still
beef.
angry at Malema. Yeah, there's beef there. Malema is
Mm.
not the kind of person to hold a grudge, but Zuma is different. way, way different. He has a grudge against Ramaphosa for removing him from the ANC as well. Because if you don't know, Ramaphosa became president in a coup. If you don't know, but it's an internal political coup because he pushed internally to remove Zuma, while Malema externally pushed him to be removed from the presidency. If you can understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
Ramaphosa sold Zuma out.
yeah, he did. For power, I get it. I get it. For power, there's a lot of it.
I think it's about being there and owning, having whatever you want for your family for
Mm.
generations. But what about his brother-in-law? Is he involved in some way?
Who's brother?
Whose
Ramaphosa.
brother-in-law? Oh, Petrus Mutsipa. Oh no,
Ah,
he's just a billionaire who funds political. He even funds. Do you know what's weird?
Mhm.
Ramaphosa's brother-in-law sometimes funds the EFF. He's not
Really?
really into
Yeah.
politics that much. He does, but his contributions are very, very, very small.
Okay.
Very small.
So he's funding
Um,
EFF against his brother-in-law.
hey, disaster.
it's weird.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing, but it's not always. He's not a constant funder. He's not a
Okay.
constant funder. Just a small one. He's you can neglect him, but
How,
he
how
is a very rich and powerful man.
yeah. So
Yes.
how is the Traore wave, you know, in South Africa?
It's still a minority of a minority of us.
Okay.
Even with us that love the EFF, it's still not. Look, most South Africans are focused on internally of what's happening in the country. We're not really
Okay.
focused on what's happening outside, whether it's America with this white
It's like
genocide thing, which is
the
not real,
football.
fake, or even other African countries. We're very ignorant, majority of us, of what's happening outside. We're more
Yeah.
focused inside. So no, no, it's only people like me who like Traore and
It's true.
Malema. Yes,
I think majority is the educated, the university students. Most of them are
yes,
EFF. And the more educated, the more you realize that this is the kind of propaganda that is being sent out. The more you are, you understand such issues, foreigners. I mean, even the relations that you should be having with other countries. It's not everybody that wants to invade your country. So for most people who
no,
understand this thing, it's the educated young people who
Yeah.
are also
of course,
interested in politics, global politics, because we know that South Africans are very much you all are so focused on matters that have to do with your own country compared to anything else that is happening out there. Most South Africans would not even know what is going on
Yeah.
outside of South Africa.
Even football.
Even football, if it's not Kaizer Chiefs and Orlando Pirates, they don't even care what is happening in the UK. I mean, people can their screen
I like that
Sundowns,
about them. And
Sundowns.
music, by the way.
Exactly, exactly.
oh,
Now they
yeah,
need
yeah.
Afro beats and amapiano.
Uh,
That's the kind of politics that excites South Africans. It's good to a certain extent,
Mm,
but it's also limiting if
yeah.
you're a young person who should be well diverse about global politics and how they affect you as a South
yes,
African. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely.
Hmm.
But again, this is intentional. I see it. I see it as clear as day. They intentionally keep people ignorant so they fall into drug abuse or alcoholism or just crime and violence.
That's
Because a
true.
lot of young people actually become poor. Because if you're born poor in South Africa and you don't have a skill or a talent or connections, you're going to end up poor. That's how it
Mhm.
Yeah.
works.
That's true.
And I think it's
So,
intentional
Mm.
so that they can keep that cycle. You know, if the people only watch like we used to say, you watch SABC one, and there are those programs that they program you.
They keep you glued in
Yeah.
Muvangos.
If they want to introduce something, they introduce it through Movango. And you
Yeah.
just think it's all about, that.
Generations.
Yeah. You watch Generations with
Yeah.
Movango, you watch Skim Scam,
Skims.
Skim Sam. Yeah, yeah.
I don't even watch those shows.
You
I
see,
don't.
now it's different for
But I
you.
get it. I get it. I think they're useless, but I get it. I get what you're
Yeah.
saying.
And
Yeah.
look at X, whatever trends most of the times in South Africa, Mark G canceling people, barely global politics, barely your Traores. And once something like that trends, it shows you that that has a very big impact. Otherwise, any trends, you just say Mark G has said this about Minentle, I don't know about who. Not those kind of things that will grow
Yeah.
you as an individual and make you understand, you know, our African Americans in the US understand African politics more than people in
Yeah.
Africa. Do you know that?
Yeah, true,
Oh
true.
yeah.
Very much, because
Yeah.
I
those people
believe
are well
that.
invested. Yeah.
Our
On,
brother Maurice
only
is saying, interesting, interesting. It would seem that more alliances throughout Africa must be secured before a king can be crowned. Make these alliances. Rome was not built in a day. And this is what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
these alliances will not be done by our older
No,
generations.
no.
It's the young people.
Yeah,
The young people who are going to come together
that's true.
and make these alliances even before these people knows. And that's why maybe we need an African buzz political party which goes across Africa,
DFFK.
or
And the fact that we are talking to T, who is in South
yeah,
Africa, and for some South Africans, they would feel like I have no business talking to a Kenyan. I have no business talking to a Burkinabe. Shows that we are already creating such
yeah,
alliances.
yeah,
We are connecting even beyond the self hatred that has been pushed, bombarded to us for the longest time. If we are divided, if we continue the hate, they are happy.
yeah.
If we unite and come up with solutions as an African, as one Africa, it's a threat. US is threatened by the fact that South Africans are kicking out these white guys. They feel threatened
Wait,
because they
even
know
if
that
it's a
if,
lie,
yeah.
yeah, because they know that South Africa has a big voice. If they
yeah,
start doing it in South Africa, what of the rest of Africa? In Kenya, we have vast pieces of lands being owned by these guys. What happens now when Kenyans also say, hey, we want to be like South Africa? Let's get back our land. So they have to stop this thing before it takes shape. You see?
that's the plan.
That's the
They
plan.
don't want whatever happened in Zimbabwe to
Zimbabwe,
happen
yeah,
in South Africa.
exactly.
Ah, the Zimbabwe thing, I don't believe it. It's just nonsense. South Africans are very skilled at farming.
Yeah.
They're skilled. Not every single black person, but uh, have you been to South Africa and been in a province called Limpopo?
Those people farm.
Oh, you look. There's if you go into that province, there's so much land. It's just empty. There's nothing been done with it. And I'm wondering why they haven't taken it because nobody's using it. Nobody's even using it. Nobody's selling it. Nobody's using it.
And that is
I
what the
mean,
government wants to take,
wow.
right? That's the bill.
Exactly.
That's
Anyway, we have some groups in South Africa, organizations that are for these rich people who are pr- landowners.
yeah,
They want to take the government to court because of the new bill that's been passed. Oh my God.
yeah.
God,
I
my government's cowardly. It can't stand up to these people, which is why when they talk about something, I'm skeptical. I'm always skeptical about what
mm,
the politicians say. Maybe if you know what, the only politicians I trust are from the EFF because even if when they're wrong, they'll admit it.
Mm.
It's weird that we have one political party that actually speaks for us. Maybe others that actually speak the truth, but It is frustrating.
Mhm.
It is frustrating.
So in 2029, we give Malema and see whether he can do what he usually speaks about.
Is it gonna happen?
We need more young voters. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We need, like, young people don't participate in elections because they don't believe in the establishment. They don't actually believe in democracy. I don't even
Yeah.
believe in democracy because
That
I
that
I've seen black people in these slums, in these crime-ridden areas where they live like animals. It's it's not, it's like they're not even human if you
yeah.
actually go to where they live. So when somebody comes from that area, or when they come from place like the Johannesburg CBD where there's crime there,
Mhm.
or Soweto, they'll actually just think, why should I vote? That guy won't do anything for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually how we think as young South Africans. We don't really care about democracy. We just want jobs. We just want to be employed. Most
Mm.
of all, we just want to be treated equally to white people.
Yeah, exactly.
Some want to be white people, that's them, but most of us actually just want to be equals.
Exactly. I think you need a Traore very soon.
Ooh.
Yeah. I agree with that. I love the man.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, brother. Thank you for joining our live.
Yeah.
No, thank
Yeah,
you.
I don't know if
Thank
there's
you.
anyone else who. Brother Morris, do you want to join us?
Yeah. But as we round up, let me just take it back to Limpopo and how the vendor people, I think vendor people are setting a good example for you guys, especially the
Oh
young
yeah.
guys. I've been seeing a lot of them going back to build in their village. Like those guys are building mansions and mansionates in their village. And this will show you that in the near future, we'll all be longing for the kind of
Yeah,
life that is
going
in the
back
village
home,
and
farming.
reclaiming our land, going back home to farm, because
Yeah,
we've been sold the dream of living in the city, just having a small piece of land and being satisfied, just having that small plot where you go to work in Sentin, come back, park your car, morning, like that, like that. But most of the young people, especially the vendor people, I love them for that. They have started going back and building in their villages. Some are not living there yet,
yeah,
but it shows you the interest and the change that we are seeing, that in the near future, most of us will want to claim our land in the villages. That's a good example. And if we could move away from the CBDs, from the
from
Sowetos,
the cities,
I mean,
the
Soweto, you have
slums.
built an RDP house, a very small 4-room house with nothing outside. You can't even park your car outside. I mean,
Oh,
and
tell me about
you are satisfied with that just because you live in the city doesn't make sense to me. Unless we go back to our villages and start demanding the land,
Yeah,
it.
then changes.
Exactly. That's why I like the land. The That's why I like Malema, and he speaks to me when he
Mm,
says we should reclaim the land. I absolutely believe him, because the only way black people are ever going to be rich and prosperous like their white counterparts is if we take back the land.
yeah,
And
exactly.
some black people don't understand actually how land works, or how it actually makes people rich. They don't.
Exactly.
They believe
maybe
that
it's
if they
because.
get a job, they'll be good, which is not going to actually help anyone, because you're
Yeah.
still going to be working for the same white people in the future.
Yeah,
Mm,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And
Oh,
shout out to our
and
brother Mark D. Sorry. Thank you so much for the super sticker. We appreciate you. We see you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's the problem that we have as the African people. I think the land issue, the minute you are disconnected to your roots, because
yeah,
most of us went away from our ancestral land, where I know for sure in South Africa, just as it is in Swaziland, in our ancestral lands, we own acres and acres of land, but most of us would rather go and live in the city because that's where the jobs are.
yeah,
That's where we think the good life is, when the good life is actually in the villages. And slowly but surely, we will go back and now start claiming. I mean, ancestral land has been grabbed in most parts in South Africa, even in Swaziland, because we have not occupied it for years. Like, they just say this land has been here for decades. You're not using it, so let's give it to people
They take it.
who are interested. You
Yep.
see, so unless us as the young
Yeah.
people have to take the initiative to go back and claim this land, I mean, land. Malema keeps saying it. If you don't own the land, you're as useless as
Yeah.
somebody who,
And
you know.
when Malema says that, it takes me back to now being African.
Yeah,
If you don't have land as an
you're
African,
useless.
you're useless because land is our mother. That's what we call land. It feeds us. If you cannot grow your food, they'll give you anything. They give you any shit that they want.
And you'll take it with both hands because you
Yeah.
have nowhere to farm your own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh God.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think we've been here for almost 2 hours now. We should be ending the live. But our brother Maurice says, I'm in the UK, moving to South Africa soon. Joining you today only in spirit. Malema could become your first knight. He is hard to kill
Yeah.
and hard to be stopped. That guy doesn't care.
But I think after he lost the elections, it was last year.
Yeah.
He
Yes.
slowed down. He
He
slowed
motivated
down.
his
Yeah,
fight.
it's like he felt like he would be there,
Betrayal.
but right now he's just there.
He's
Yes.
restructuring the party, as far as I know.
Mhm.
He's trying to get more votes. I hope he makes it, because next year we have a local elections where like the big cities, we'll find out who really is going to control the big cities now, like
Good.
Johannesburg. So I'm hoping that he'll become elected in one of the cities. I'm hoping.
I hope
And
so.
I'm going to be participating as well.
You will tell us when we can start campaigning for you.
No, I mean, I'm going to vote for him. That's what I mean.
Okay. That's amazing. I thought you were one of the people being elected.
Yeah, but I think at some point,
No,
uh-huh.
no, I don't like politics like that. No.
We are here discussing politics.
Oh no, I understand it, but I'm more into geopolitics, not
Yeah.
Okay.
small politics.
You
Yeah,
should be in the big ones, challenging everything that is happening. We need a voice, a bigger voice.
yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. But it starts with the land. Yeah. Then we gotta have money. Then we gotta fund our own things. God.
Exactly. Schools, education, health, among other things.
Yeah, if we're able to find our own,
Especially education.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we need, Africans are very smart people. They are very, very smart people. I mean,
Yeah.
we see that with African Americans. We can do the same things they can do. It's just we lack the education. And I've seen
Exactly.
a lot of smart black people. I've met them. I've talked to them, and I think if we had the money, we could do amazing things. I'm not even impressed by China, not really, because I think we can do the same just
Yeah.
by
We
looking at us.
can do better.
Greater than that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm hoping.
But
I'm thinking.
thanks.
Mhm.
Oh no, keep
Yeah,
talking.
okay, thank you so much, T. Thank you, Siyabonga Puti. But the thing, just in closing, I think we've already taken 2 hours in
Yeah.
this live. I think in the next live, probably we could even discuss this Western education. Is it really helpful for Africa? Because we had our own systems of education, we had our own structures, our own, kind of
Curriculum.
passing down of
Yeah.
knowledge from generation to generation. Is this Western education working for us as Africans? Maybe we can discuss that in the next live.
weekend.
Yeah, because maybe that is what is pulling us back. We need to go back to who we were. In your family, T, you find that your great grandfather was a Sangoma, but you don't know that because you all threw away all those Amatambo and you decided We are now Christians. We are now taking the Western kind of lifestyle, and you have lost it as a generation of that Sangoma. And if you were to
Yeah.
continue with that, would have a lot of doctors coming from your family, surgeons. We had a lot of what do you call these ones?
Pharmacists,
The ones that help you give birth,
midwives.
Yeah, we were skilled to do these things, but now you have to go through some system of education for you to be a midwife. And most of us are not even interested in that, in helping people. But just because of the pay, I'd rather be a doctor.
And
Yeah.
this type of education wastes a lot of time teaching you
Exactly.
things that you don't even understand.
Yeah, so we need to
So can I
discuss.
say something?
Yeah, please.
Oh, thank you. The problem, I actually think a Western education can be useful if we just take the theory and practice, because there is knowledge that they have that we can use.
Yeah.
The problem is that, for example, when I was in school, they taught me about um, West. They taught me about Western history, about Hitler, but they didn't teach me about my own liberation struggles. They didn't teach me anything about apartheid. They barely mentioned it. And when I saw the authors on those books, because I was curious, they were written by white South Africans. Like
Yeah.
literally, our history books are written by white South Africans.
Oh.
So my problem is you're teaching young people the wrong thing. They become non-patriotic. They don't even care about their country. So they might end up being sellouts. Or you just teach them theory, but you don't teach them the practical stuff, which is why you just end up with people who know what to say but don't know what to do. So, and also, it wouldn't kill us to teach in our own languages and develop them, because
Ah,
it's the only way we're ever going to learn fast. Like Japan and China do that, and they're doing great.
actually, it's everybody except us.
Yes,
Yeah.
But if,
yes.
if
I
if
don't
that
even
is
like English.
if that was to happen in South Africa, which language would be used?
I don't know. There are many languages, but I would just pick the most used language.
And you
And
think with
I
the
also have to make sure
division,
that the tribes don't fight amongst each other, because
exactly, that's what I
some
wanted
of
to
us are
ask you.
tribalist.
No, I
Exactly.
think it can be used based on
Hey, the
the
locality,
regions.
yeah.
Yes, because if you go to
Now in
Yes,
Eastern
Joburg,
Cape,
but
if
we
you go to
Yokosa,
if you go to
KZN.
Mpumalanga, if you go, and it can be, those, like, I will tell you this, in Kenya, when we were in primary school, class 1 up to class 3, we are taught using our mother tongue, our own languages. So when you are in central Kenya, be sure that you are learning
Swahili.
Kikuyu.
Central, okay.
You are being taught in Kikuyu. If you are in Rift Valley, it's either Maasai, it's either Kalenjin. If you are in the Western, it's Luya, it's Luo. Yeah, that's what
What
used to
happens in the
happen.
metropolitan cities?
Based to,
oh, they
even
teach you in
the
English.
cities are divided based on, like, the northern side of the city, it's Kikuyu. The southern, it's Kamba.
Hey, in Johannesburg, I don't know what would happen there.
So you find that people grew
Oh,
up.
we would fight. We would
There
fight.
would be
I know
a
that
lot of
one.
fights
you
there.
you
We
find
would
that
fight.
people grew up, like, you grew up in you are Kikuyu, you grew up in Rift Valley, so you learned
You speak,
Kalenjin,
yeah.
but you still speak Kikuyu. Yeah,
So what?
it
I'm
worked.
imagining
It used to work
I'm
perfect.
imagining the Xhosas and the Zulus, everybody wanting their language to be in the forefront.
But the good thing is
Tswana,
you can
there's-
speak all those languages. Most of them you can understand. Ebele, Zulu,
You know what they
Swati.
made us? They divided us very well, and that hatred
Yes.
amongst our tribes is the worst thing that can happen to us. I don't see any benefit. The funny thing in South Africa, if you leave your village and go to Johannesburg, for example, if you try to learn, for some people, if you try to learn isiZulu and try to imitate how Zulu speak, people will look at you like you just went to Johannesburg for 2 days and now you come back trying to speak like the Zulus. For them, it's like, what are you trying to do? Like, stick to your language. So it is never, well, it is for some, but it's usually seen as, hey, you just went there for 2 days and you are now trying to imitate Zulus.
Yeah. It's like Kenyans going to the UK.
Hey. But it's different in Kenya. You know, when I came to Kenya, learning Kiswahili, people appreciated the fact that I'm learning Kiswahili and even speaking it was simple
Yeah.
and faster because the people appreciate you learning. But for this ones, they say, hey, learn again. Sebenzenjan, who are you trying to be? You see?
Oh
It's 2
oh
hours.
yeah,
I
no.
don't, yeah?
Um, some of us are tribalists. I'm not gonna lie. Some of us hate
It's
each other because we belong to, and we have rumors about different tribes, which is actually true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh. But the good news is it's the younger generation that's more understanding. The Gen Z and the millennials.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the older generation has a lot of rumors, a lot of
Mm?
things that they can't even prove. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Still.
yeah. No, if you go to Johannesburg, a lot of people from different tribes they intermingle. You won't even
Mm,
notice that this person is Zulu or whatever
Mm.
because nobody even cares.
Yeah.
mm,
I'm talking about the young people, but if you talk to, for example, an older, maybe 40 something year old Zulu man, he will, oh, he will be very frustrated at you for even
mm,
attempting to speak English or any other language, basically.
mm.
Yeah. But young people, they're okay.
Yeah. Slowly but surely. We'll get there. We'll get there. Our brother Maurice is saying, keep English. Africa has too many issues as it is. Even England has other languages like Welsh and Scottish. One issue at a time.
I don't have a problem with English. Eh?
Mm.
What we need to do is we need our, our one language, maybe Swahili or Zulu or
Oh, that's where the
for the
problem
whole of
comes in.
Africa.
Hey, yeah.
Then we can have English as an
Unified.
extra foreign language, like we do have French in the English speaking
The
countries,
Francophone.
or they have French in the
Mhm.
Francophones. Yeah, we still keep it because we need to know when they gossip us. Yeah.
Oh wow, it's almost tea. Thank you so much, brother. I think we want to wrap it up here. It's midnight here in Kenya. You guys are an hour behind. What time is it at your place,
In the UK,
brother?
it's
He's in
three
the
hours
UK.
behind.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
3 hours behind is
It's quite late also.
it's 9.
Yeah, it's quite late.
Yeah.
I think we'll call it a night. Maybe we should be doing this every weekend.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah. And thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
30,000 subscribers. Thank you. If you have not subscribed, please do. Let us grow this page. Let us reach more young and old and
Yeah. And
everybody. Honestly.
thank you to everybody that joined us. T, Maurice, Mark D,
Yeah, and for engaging with us.
C and S, a lot of our brothers and sisters joined us. Thank you so much. Let us see you in our next live. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.